We should do sound clips of you guys and just read
So-
that.
We could.
I stumbled across, I have to talk her up because I'm really having fun with her. I stumbled across a website called Quilt Addicts Anonymous.
Yes.
The reason I got stumbled upon it, if you will, is the woman Stephanie designs fat quarter friendly quilts. And I'm always like, what do I do with all these fat quarters? And I've looked at fat quarter books, but nothing has really stirred me.
And what's the difference between a fat quarter and a quarter yard?
How it's cut. A fat quarter is what, 18 by 22?
Yes.
And a quarter yard is a skinny long piece.
So it's either short, fat, or tall and skinny.
Right. So a fat quarter.
I know you want. Yeah, okay, go ahead, Lynn. Let's.
This is a fat quarter.
I'm sorry.
This is a
I'm
fat.
reading too many things.
This is a fat quarter right here. Okay. Instead of it being
9 inches.
This way.
Yeah, instead of being
Yeah.
instead of being 9 inches, it's 18.
18 by 22.
22.
Thereabout. So anyway, their store sells nothing but modern. That's a word I can't say. Modern fabrics.
Wooden.
Modern.
Is there an R in there?
I don't know.
I just know that
can't say that word.
you come from that part of the state where we lose our R's.
And
So
what
it could
she
be
does-
Mordens or Mordens.
Listen, she's really cool so far. Every month she takes a collection of I can't even listen to you because I'm on my, going off of Stephanie. She takes a collection of I don't know, 12 to 15 fat quarters. And quarters. And she actually creates a pattern to highlight that collection.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So anyway, I of course had to get involved, and this is just a colorway of one she's done. This is not, it's pineapple-ish, I agree, but it is actually made with nothing but half square triangles. But what she does is she teaches you, and Bonnie will love this, I think, she's teaching us value ways at the same time, which I always have a problem with. So she pre-packages it.
No value is that when you put the red glasses on and say,
That's where light, medium, everybody, you go get a light, get 1 fat quarter light, get 2 fat quarter mediums.
Fat quarter light. Is
Get
that
1 fat quarter dark. I'm like, ooh,
a fat
what
quarter,
the hell are
fat
you
quarter
talking
light?
about?
Is that like Miller Lite? Tastes
Yeah.
great and less feeling?
So anyway, I like her, she pre-packages them. She gives you online instruction, you get your printout. She also is going to show us how to quilt this using our domestic machine and rulers. So we're going to learn ruler work too.
Who is that, Becky?
It's called Quilting Addicts Anonymous. And this is Stephanie. She
So
does
it's
a
like a
stashing
12
with Stephanie.
It's like a 12-step program?
I'm telling you,
It will be when we're done.
I'm loving her patterns. I'm loving how because she's so specific. Yeah. Anyway, Becky has to make a zillion half square triangles.
Okay.
Now there are a ton of ways to make half square triangles. Okay. In fact, she shows you a way that's not my way, and somebody else is going to show you a way with paper and blah blah blah. But I'm out of fashion with my half square triangles, and that's what developed the turbo tip, because I have used this little bugger a lot this last couple days.
Is that one of those magic wand things?
It is. Now the beauty of this, can we see this, or should I go down? Which way do you want me?
Then you have the
This is a 1/2 inch ruler with 1 measurement on it. Can you see that?
Put it on your apron.
On your
Against
bosoms.
apron.
Put it on your bosoms.
What are you
Put it on
doing?
the girl.
Lady.
There.
Why don't we go to the overhead and look at it?
Quilter's
down on the-
magic wand. See, there's only 1 line on this whole thing, and it's etched in it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you actually do need to go overhead because I'm going to show you how to use this. And to me, this is not only how I use it, but how I use it with my Luminaire.
And I just screwed your luminaire up because you had it set up, and when I went over the. But I should be able to show
Okay,
that back there.
down, good. First thing I got to do is take this little Quilter's magic wand, and I'm putting the etched line on each side. I mean, you have glasses, excuse me. I'm lining up my etched line corner to corner, like that. See that? And then I'm taking a little pencil. I use pencil. The reason I don't use friction is because I'm going to iron this later and that disappears. So I take it and I mark it this side.
And we've also found that friction will
And I mark it
stain
this side.
will stain some fabrics.
So I go through, I didn't mark that one very good, but I go through and I mark them so you have something like this, right? You see that?
I see that.
Those are what you would call your sew lines. You're not putting on a 1/4 inch foot. You're not trying to sew a 1/4 inch from the middle seam or blah, blah, blah. You're just drawing those. Now what I do next, of course, right sides together, is when I go to my sewing machine, I like to set up my guide to run right along this pencil line, but then I move my needle over 2 or 3. That gives me more wiggle room when I go to trim it.
That's what she said.
That's enough right there. That's enough. Can you get
Yes,
get
so-
this camera on so they can see
Yes,
what's going on
so
the screen,
one of-
please?
So we're talking about using the laser here.
Right, so let's go in there for a minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn that off for a second. Okay, close
Okay.
that. Oh, I thought I was gonna turn that
No,
off.
you have to be in there for me to show it.
Oh, in
Go
here.
into laser.
Okay, I'll stay out of your way.
No, you can do this.
Okay.
So on this machine, there is actually two different lasers. You can tell it what color it is.
Yes.
And-
Yeah, just a quick side note, on the Dreamweaver, the Dream Machine, and the Stellaire, you will have a laser. It has one laser. It doesn't have multiples
Okay,
like you have
we're
on
only
the
using one right now.
Yeah, so everything that we're
Later, however, you'll see when I use two.
everything we're gonna cover right now is doable on any of the Dreamweaver, Dream Machine, or Stellaire machines.
Yeah, and you'll notice down here, I've shifted it to 2.75, when before it probably said what? 3.0?
3.5 is the center.
3.5 is the center. The reason I don't want to go right on the center and I want to smoosh it over a little bit is because I'm going to have to fold and press and all that good stuff.
And another quick note on the shift down here, which you'll also get on the machines we talked about. Shift moves in 1/4 millimeter increments. Width moves in 1/2 millimeter increments. So you'll get a much more precise shift of your needle with the shift function rather than the width function.
Can they see that red line on this machine?
I don't know. Is it? I can.
I don't.
Can you see it, Eddie?
Let me move it over. See, can you see that red line? Not really. There is a red line that my machine is showing on my fabric.
Yeah, there you go. You can kind of see
Can you
it.
see it?
Yeah, it's there.
Faintly. It's right here. What I'm going to do is take that red line and I'm going to line it right up on my
Oh,
pencil.
here, are we done on the screen here? Because if we're done on the screen, I can just move this camera over.
Okay.
That's a bad idea?
Yeah.
That's a bad idea, okay.
So what's going to happen is I'm not watching a mark on my foot. I haven't changed to a 1/4 inch foot because, by the way, my 1/4 inch foot has a little jog on it,
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't work well for this technique anyway. So I want
Yeah, the 1/4 inch
And
because of the guide will.
the guide. It
hits
makes
the-
it
yeah.
makes a mess. So I want to use. I think this might be my J
J
foot,
foot, yeah.
and I like the open
And you
look.
can see on the screen, you can see how that
See
red
that-
line,
see
that
the
red
red
line
line?
is lined right up with her pencil
Right,
line.
I mean right up. And as I'm stitching, I'm not looking, staring in here. I'm just watching the red line. So as I move down, I'm just and look how straight it's going to be because I'm looking way over here at that red line. And I'm
And
going.
your nails look fantastic
God,
tonight,
yeah,
Maggie.
I put them on just before the show. I'm going all the way down. I'll cut that just for time's sake. So now I've got, look at how beautiful that is.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, I know. So obviously, if you're chain piecing, you just keep going and going and
So
going.
we're
But
just
it's
going- yeah.
literally right where I want it to be.
Yep.
If I hadn't moved my needle over just a smidgen, it would be so exact on that line that I would have even less to work when I trim it. So by just smooshing it over just a tad, it's perfect. Now, after that's done, you're going to end up with a piece like this. Can I have the overhead one more time? You're going to end up a piece like this where it's sewn on both sides. Now all I have to do is cut down the middle.
Now, with this technique, because they're all,
See, I can use this to
If
cut
you-
down the middle, but I do not because I have a hard time with the slipping and sliding.
could you like stack like 3 or
Yeah.
4 of those together, just chop them once?
Yeah, you could. Because what's important is how straight these lines are.
This,
Not how corner to corner I am. And I'll
Yes.
show you why in a minute. I'll cut this and I'll show you. What's important is how straight I sewed it. If I did not sew it straight, I am not gonna have good half square triangles. And a lot of people don't understand that. It's really important that
So-
that line be straight.
The sew line.
The sew
The
line.
cut line.
The cut line don't matter, Jack.
As long as you don't cut the sew line.
As long as you don't cut the sew line, and try and keep a 1/4 inch just because.
Because it makes you
You
feel
know.
better about life.
Well, just because you don't want it falling, your quilt to fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So now when I cut this, what I'm doing, I of course, come on, I have samples. Okay, so we wouldn't have to go. When I cut it, I'm then going to open these up, and I am going to open my seams. I'm going to iron my seams open because I want these to lay as flat as they possibly can. If I have a bump when I go to trim it, I have a trim ruler somewhere to demonstrate. No, I do. Here I am thinking I'm so organized. Did I forget my trim ruler?
I was just admiring
Is
the
it in
nice
front
print
of
of
you?
that.
Huh?
Which one?
It's a little square. I have tape on it and everything to demo it, and I don't know what to do with it. Oh, okay, so what happens is, I'll just show you with this. If I haven't opened these seams,
Mm-hmm.
and I go to square this up with my little square ruler, which I really wish I had, what's going to happen is I'm going to have some wobble. I'm going to have some wobble in the middle.
It weebles wobbles,
It
but it won't fall
does,
down.
and then it's so hard to get your seams perfect. But if I've opened this up and made sure these are flat, I iron from both sides, by the way, to get them nice and flat. Then when I put my ruler on to square this up, oh, I'm so mad I don't have it. I want it to appear. Well, that'll be another thing. Then I square it up, and then when you're done, ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop, they look like this, and they're perfect. In this case, 3.5 inches.
Nice.
But what I wanted to tell people too is when they square it up, I saw somebody doing this, and that's why I wanted my ruler. Can you just give me a small square ruler? I really want to show this because I saw a person doing it wrong, and I thought your whole quilt, after all that work, your whole quilt is going to be wonky. They were lining up. They were doing this. They were lining up the 3.5, and the 3.5 as best they could like this. That's not 3.5. That's good. I can't. I have to turn it around. Sorry. They were lining up the 3.5 on the edges like this, and then cutting. And there, I'm at 3.5, and I'm done.
No.
Exactly. I'm like, well, you might get lucky. You might get lucky now and then, but it isn't going to hold. I guarantee you, it's not going to hold. The first time, your first cut, you want to make sure the most important thing is that this line is straight on your sew line. And if you have a crooked sew line, do it again. It's not going to hold true.
I would also
The
recommend,
other thing,
I was just going to say, make sure that you leave enough
I'm
3.5 down
getting
here.
there. I'm getting there, Sam. I'm getting there.
I just wanted to show my wisdom because, you know,
The other
I do
thing-
understand some of these things to get
The
proper
other
blocks.
thing is, I want to make sure on my first cut that my fabric extends beyond my 3.5. I want it to have something to
Your
cut
hands in the
off. Oops, sorry. I want it to have something to cut off, but see how I've left?
A little
Little?
bit.
But I can't stress enough this line right here. So on my first cut, I'm looking at this line, and I'm making sure I have extra hanging over on both edges. If I do not, you're not going to trim up a good half square.
Well, you'll get a 3.5 inch block.
But it's not.
But
gonna,
the
you
points.
saw how many
I
triangles.
know. I was just gonna say, but the
were mine.
points will be all
Well,
over the map.
try getting it to come out right after that. So then I'm hacking off that, and I love these boards because I can just clean them. Next time, now is when I get my line right on it. Don't forget, get that line right on it. And now I'm going to line up with 3.5. 3.5. 3.5.
Trace. Tracy Media for those that are
See?
watching in Spanish.
See that, guys? That was gas at first. That sounded like a mouse with a tuba. Okay, so that's it. That's how you trim all your half square triangles. And this is my tip,
The magic wand.
the magic
Yes.
wand. It really is a handy tool for lots of things.